Riser, shirts and trousers.
ET Holidays da South India's #1.
Hello and welcome to Galata Plus. In this video review episode, we're going to be talking about Tinu Pappachan's Chaaver. The film is a formal exercise. It's a very fascinating formal exercise. It takes a murder story and replaces excitement with highly stylized atmosphere. The director used to assist Lijo Jose Pellicheri, and in his films you get the same sense of a slightly surreal masculine world gone mad. Chaaver is a routine crime and punishment story, but what's fascinating about the film is its structure. The stylized, ritualistic, karmic narrative unfolds like a performance of Theyyam, a stylized, ritualistic dance form performed mostly by men. In Chaaver, the style is the substance. The men in question in this Kannur-based story are Ashokan, played by Kunchacko Boban, Thomas, played by Anurup, Asif, played by Sajin Gopu, and Mustafa, played by Manoj Keyu. They come from different religions, as their names indicate, but they merge under the umbrella of a leftist political party. They are puppets manipulated by the system, and we see this in the imagery of these men boxed inside a Tata Sumo for the most part, while being dwarfed by gigantic trees, a gigantic sky, and even a gigantic gate. They have been given orders to kill someone without any reason or explanation being provided. The man to be killed is also defined only by his community. Low caste is what some people say about him, and slowly the most beautiful thing happens. A regular story of this nature would shift back and forth between the hunters and the hunted, that is the cops and the killers. But Chaaver knows that that is a story we have seen 100 times, so instead the film spends most of its time with the killers, the men in the sumo, and the narrative turns into something very abstract. We are burdened with plot so much of the time in so many movies that it is a breath of fresh air to just sit back and watch these men, these creatures waiting to be cornered. That they will be cornered is in no doubt at all, because this has been visualized in the very first scene when a rat approaches a cockroach. At first, we think we know which one is the predator, which one is the prey, but in an instant the tables are turned. An innocent medical student named Arun, that is Arjun Ashokan, finds himself trapped with this group of men, and he too is an abstraction. He's a good guy and nothing else. What tells us when a story is underwritten and when the stick figure characters are intentionally so? It's the making, of course, where even the murdered man turns into a chalk outline. People wail for him, but we stay dry-eyed because it all seems to be happening in an installation at the Museum of Modern Art. Jintu George's orange-blue cinematography, Justin Varghese's haunted house music, and Ranganath Ravi's eerie sound design are entirely one of a piece. They keep hinting at how we are all trapped in the horror movie we call life. At one point, Arun is framed from the inside of a house, trapped between the doorway. It's as though the house is looking at him. We only think we can escape, but in reality, we are all doomed. No attempt is made to de-puppetize these men, these wanderers in the maze of life who desperately search for their destination. We may get a scene where Thomas talks to his wife, they have an infant son, or we may get another scene where Mustafa's wife is questioned, but there is absolutely no sentimentalization. These abstracted women are as much part of Tinu's world as the migrant workers who speak in Bengali and the dogs and lizards he keeps showcasing. They are living creatures, but just about that. They are in the dark about what their husbands are doing, just as the husbands are in the dark about what the puppeteers are doing. Only the character played by Sangeeta, a former teacher and the widow of a Communist Party leader, gets some bit of dimension. She is Arun's mother, and she is not the kind to sit at home and weep. She is a puppeteer too. Cops snap to attention when she enters the station, and she coolly walks away after performing an act of rescue. This, I suppose, is the good side of party politics, where strings are pulled for the good of people. But this act of rescue, again, is not dramatized, and neither is the death of a young woman. Another movie might have chosen to horrify us with this loss of life, but in Chaaver, she is just collateral damage. Shit happens. This woman too is a victim of all the puppeteering around her, like Arun's poor pharmacist friend. The film keeps building atmosphere instead of building characters, and at times it approaches pure cinema. It takes genre materials and strips away all the genre tropes. trading excitement for atmosphere. Even the inevitable and sometimes excessive slow-mo shots become part of the stylization of these gradually broken people reflected in broken mirrors. And Theyyam is all around. It is in the redness of ritual, and it reflects a ritual of killing without conscience. In one of the most startling images in Chaaver, a man whose wish was to perform a Theyyam part is surrounded by swirls of red clouds as though drowning in a pool of his own blood. I was equally dazzled by another artful spurt of blood, this time made to look like the real thing. The last 30 minutes of this 2-hour-odd movie is when the director's hold on his material slips. From the abstract, things become very literal. We get a long and routine shootout, but there's a terrific touch of the men with guns being faceless, as in they are masked. They too are puppets being strung along by the system, and you could equally make Chaaver with them as the protagonists who have been given orders to kill without a reason or explanation being provided. No actor stands out, and yet everyone fits in. Arun loves watching Theyyam, but little does he know that he is going to find himself inside a performance, that is this movie, that is equally stylized. An early sequence cuts back and forth between Arun and Mustafa. It is like cutting back and forth between two worlds of good and evil, with Arun in an auto filled with school kids and Mustafa in a sumo filled with killers. Kunchacko Boban gets a big actorly moment when his character is asked where he is from. This is one of the few times the writing nudges us towards a melodramatic revelation, but when we get the answer, it is as moving as something can be in this cold, cold universe. Does it matter where he is from? He could well be that migrant worker who speaks Bengali. He is from all over. Formal filmmaking is not for every taste, and Chaaver is not perfect, but it does most of what it sets out to do, especially if you think style is a valid form of substance. In his terrific book Cinema Speculation, Quentin Tarantino talks about Hitchcock's cinema first, camera first style. He says, the normal Hollywood movie sought for the audience to ignore the camera. Better for you to commit to this exercise of wide awake dreaming if you forget what you're watching is a movie. So, to emphasize or highlight the camera or camera movement was to call attention to the fact that the audience was watching a movie. This theory has been much abused over years. In practice, yes, but here in Chaaver, the acting is as naturalistic and the making is as stylized. This theory has been abused a lot in practice, yes, but here in Chaaver, the acting is naturalistic and the making is stylized, and this dissonance never allows us to forget what we are watching is a performance. Like in Theyyam, the artifice becomes its own kind of reality. So that's it about Chaaver. If you like this video review, do subscribe to Galata Plus and see you soon at the movies.
Ariza, shirts and trousers.
ET Holidays, South India's #1